Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's business coaching session. And of course, you know that business involves relationships because if you are in a very difficult marriage, it will affect your business. And many people do not realize that a good marriage is such a fantastic asset to business success. So today, we'll be focusing on how to save your bad marriage from divorce. At the end of today, your relationship will not be the same. And then you begin to see it in a very, very totally different way. And you begin to see how powerful, how important marriage is in achieving financial freedom and then for the health of the society. Okay, so it doesn't matter how bad your marriage is. Tonight gives you hope. We are going to change it. So as you join, I like that phrase. Just put it in the comment section. Let's change it. Let's change it. Because the reason we are doing this is to change the way things are, because it can actually be much better. Whether it's in our marriage relationships, or it's in our businesses, or it's in our professional life. Martin Luther, who lived hundreds of years ago, left a piece of wisdom with us. He said, there is no more lovely, friendly, and charming relationship, communion, or company than a good marriage. I am telling you, I want to sell a good marriage from the start. From the start of what we are doing today, I am selling a good marriage. I am selling a good marriage because there is nothing on earth like it. But I know that people have been seeing such ugly reports and such ugly incidents about marriage and divorce and fightings between men and women. And many people are saying, no, marriage is not for me. But I agree with Martin Luther, and I am selling a good marriage. Okay, everybody type in the comment section, good marriage. That is the product for tonight. That's what I'm selling. And I'm selling it passionately. Type good marriage. Whether you are married or not, type good marriage. And it doesn't matter if you're not married yet. The information, the insights you're going to get today will greatly help you in your relationship. So I'm married. This is the 29th year. And I'm sharing what has helped us and keeps helping us. And therefore, if you learn it tonight, even if you're not married yet, this is going to be very good for you. Please type good marriage, good marriage. Everyone type good marriage. That is what I'm selling. That is what I'm selling. And if you're watching this on YouTube as well, go ahead and type good marriage. That's what I want you to buy. Whether you are married or not, I want to sell it. I want to begin to break down all those bad images and bad experiences that people have been selling about marriage, because you just need to open social media or go on television and then you are seeing fightings, men and women fighting, separating, divorcing, killing one another. It is totally unnecessary. And one of the most bitterest things to watch is a divorce proceeding in court. Two people who had once told each other, I love you, you are my life, you are my everything, I'm going to be with you for the rest of my life. And you see them fighting in the divorce court. It's one of the most horrible pictures anyone can see on this side of eternity. Therefore, I want to sell good marriage. Over the next 1,000 days, as we continue to do this, I want to sell good marriage to business owners. I want to sell good marriage to students. I want to sell good marriage to our children. In spite of the kind of marriage image that your parents may have shown you, it is a good thing. So let me repeat what Martin Luther said. There is no more lovely, friendly, and charming relationship, communion, or company than a good marriage. If you don't have a good marriage and you have a business, you are in trouble, like many business owners who don't have good marriage have discovered. So today we are talking about how to save your bad marriage from divorce. Now, there is a book that my wife and I read early in our relationship. And actually, it was my mentor, Dr. Oliobi, who recommended this book for us. And then his wife gave us this book, Dr. Oliobi and his wife, Chi Oliobi. And it turned out to be a very, very powerful book. It helped to prepare us for the mindset, and prepare me especially for the mindset with which I entered marriage. Now, this is another thing. I just said something I want you to take note of. The mindset with which you enter marriage matters a lot. It's everything. Everybody type in the comment section, the mindset of marriage. You see, because I see lots of young people doing wedding these days, but they enter marriage with the wrong mindset, and then within 2 weeks they're already having issues. So the mindset with which you enter marriage is everything. And I don't advise anyone to get into the marriage relationship if you don't have the mindset that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. Type in the chat, mindset of marriage, mindset of marriage. So if you're watching on YouTube, type mindset of marriage. Okay. Ebenezer says here, I once handled a divorce proceedings of 2 professors of medicine. Both parties were above 60 years of age. Divorce is not a good experience. Ebenezer, thank you for doing this. Okay, so I suspect that you're a lawyer. It is very ugly. It is very, very ugly. Divorce proceedings, very, very ugly. That is an experience you don't want to wish your enemy. Okay? And that is why I am selling a good marriage. And I want to repeat what Ebenezer put in the comment section. He said, divorce is not a good experience. Please let me tell you, as a married person right away, that if you enter marriage with a poor mindset, with an inaccurate view of what marriage really is, because a lot of people want to get married because they want to escape loneliness, or some people want to get married because they think it will give them financial security, or some people want to get married for all kinds of reasons. If you bring a wrong mindset into marriage, it's going to crash, because mindset is everything. And some people just think, okay, I get married, love, 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 I love. So this book says that marriage takes more than love. And I want you to pay attention to this thing I'm going to read out to you. He said, the difference between smooth sailing and shipwrecks in marriage lies in what couples do about rough weather. Ladies and gentlemen, many people enter marriage with a mindset that is all love, 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 smooth, 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 no problem. So even when they are taking their marriage vow, and then the priest says for better, for worse, they refuse to say for worse. That's a horrible mindset. They say, oh, no, I don't want to confess for worse. When the priest says for better, for worse, they will say for better, for better. When the priest says for richer, for poorer, they say for richer, for richer. Horrible mindset. Horrible mindset. Because the reality of marriage is that there's going to be rough weather. Everybody type rough weather in the comment section. Type rough weather. Those of you watching on YouTube, do the same thing. Rough weather. Rough weather. Rough weather. And then for all of you, who prepare people for marriage, I want you to pay particular attention, because the quality of your marriage cannot be better than the quality of your mindset of marriage. Did you just hear what I said? That's a quotable quote. That's something, if you're not married yet, you should actually carry with you everywhere you go. The quality of your marriage can never be better or happier than the quality of the mindset with which you, the woman and the man, approach marriage. So there is rough weather. Every marriage has it. And the difference between happy and unhappy marriages is how those two people handle the rough weather of marriage. Because when the rough weather comes, you will forget all this romance, all these things that people read on social media, romance, and people just enter that marriage is they enter it with the mindset of just to have sex. It's a license to have sex. Good God. When you get into it, and then the rough weather, sex will fly away. It will it will disappear. It won't matter. So there is rough weather. What you do with it is important. So a lot of people don't handle the rough weather well, and that's why it ends up in the bitter divorce, the type that Egwat was telling us in the comment a while ago. Divorce is not a good thing. It's traumatic. In fact, divorce is far more, like he's talking about the proceedings. I've watched some of them in some of these Judge Judy or something. It's bad. It is bad. And there's even one happening right now, especially in America. One happening right now. I mean, I won't give the details. People are watching this. It is horrible. The divorce proceedings just turn the woman into an animal, into a liar. And these are people. This is a woman who goes to church, who is religious, sings in choir, leads worship, but she's turned into a beast, a liar. I mean, everybody is horrified just because she wants the man to become a pauper. She wants to take everything that the man owns. How did they even get to that point? So that's what we're going to be talking about. Remember, I will continue to remind you, I am selling a good marriage. My product tonight is good marriage. Because all that you have been seeing on social media and all these divorce proceedings, you're seeing bad marriage. But like I was telling my wife the other day, people are not showing the good stuff. And because of it, a lot of young people are scared to get married. A lot of people don't want to get married because of all the things they read on social media about bad marriages. But I can guarantee you that there are better marriages. There are good marriages. There are more good marriages than the bad ones. But because the press keeps showing you the bad ones, you think that marriage is warfare. Two people who just get married to start fighting each other. That's not what it is. Okay? So a strong marriage is built on making good choices, not on romance. Because many of you go with this mindset of romance and all these things about you watch on Telemundo, especially the women. Romance, the things you watch on Telemundo, and all that. He's not romantic. And you go with that. Then rough weather hits. And then romance will disappear. But good choices will always last more than romance. Okay, so who am I and why am I doing this? Okay. Yes, okay. Ebenezer actually confirms that he's a lawyer. Ebenezer says, let me read out. I'm a lawyer and I've handled more than 8 divorce cases. None of the case was a pleasant experience for me. It's horrible. I can imagine what you're going through. I'm telling you. I can imagine because I can imagine you as a lawyer because the whole thing, the emotions and all those bitterness and the bitter emotions and the conflicts going on within those people, I'm sure you will be feeling it as a compassionate person. You say 2 persons who once profess love to each other become enemies, doing everything to pull the other one down. He said, I am currently handling one. My annoyance is the rate at which young marriages are coming for dissolution. Marriages below 10 years. This is catastrophe. And you see, this is why I want to bring these conversations in this 1000 days of life coaching into mainstream. I have no problem teaching you business strategy. I taught with the Stanford seed of the Stanford University. I teach at the Lagos Business School. I teach at China Europe International Business School. And I teach strategy. I have no issues teaching you those things. But look, after teaching you this thing and then you go home and you are facing divorce proceedings, your business will collapse. It's going to be hell from what he is describing. So all these things are very, very important conversations that we should make mainstream. Whether it's in Kenya or in Tanzania or in South Africa or in Nigeria or in the Philippines, divorce is a horrible thing. In America, it's terrible. Marriage has been bastardized. It's not what it used to be. Okay? But like I've said tonight, I am selling good marriage. That is my product. And throughout the next 3 years, you will hear me always selling good marriage. Stop watching all those bad things you watch about people fighting each other on social media and bringing their dirty linen, like they said, to the public, because that's not the reality. So you need to make sure that you consume positive things like what I'm sharing with you right now. And by the way, I always encourage anyone, as soon as you join the session, to please share. Hit that share button. Let people come and hear. Even the little you have heard so far, you can tell how much it will do for the society if all of us learn these things and then go back to these family values. So please share it right now. Just take 3 seconds, click that button and share it. Then when you have shared it, please type in the comment section shared, so that I know that you have done that. Just share it right now, and then type in the comment section. Once you've done that, type shared. So my name is Ogbo, Awoke Ogbo, and then over 3 weeks ago, I woke up with this profound question and thought. Suppose I had only 1,000 more days to live and I have to impart the most valuable lessons I have learned to the world. What would it be? And then I decided that the 3 things I want to focus on in imparting to the world is, number 1, that you need financial freedom. Everybody type financial freedom. You need it. I will continue to say that if you don't master your finances, you are going to have a very difficult experience on earth. And mastering your finances, I'm not talking about get rich quick programs that are all over the place and then people are being scammed and all that. There is a process to get wealthy. There is a process, and it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes a strategy. And then you need to give yourself time. Give yourself at least 10 good years to become wealthy. If you try to do it in 3 months or 6 months, you will suffer. You will not only likely lose your investment, you will have to always find yourself starting all over again. Second thing I want to teach the world is how to scale your business, because I have been so blessed to work with the Stanford Graduate School of Business through their Stanford Seed Program. I've been so blessed to work with hundreds of businesses across different countries, helping them to scale. So I've learned a thing or two. So that's what I want to teach. And then the third thing I want to focus on in the next 1,000 days is family. I want to bring back the family. Okay, you know, we used to have a hashtag a couple of years ago in Nigeria, say bring back our girls. Okay, for me is bring back our marriages. Bring back our marriages. You know, how do you feel usually when you see old couples? Like 3 of my mentors are in their 90s. Elder Okoro, Daddy Wigwe, and then Elder Imaoji. They are all in their 90s. I think Elder Oji should be like 94, 95. Elder Okoro, these people are still married to the one woman, 90-something years, the same woman that they are married to. So you find people who are married for 60, 70 years, my God. 60 years, 66 years with one man, with one woman, building such incredible trust and such a life of joy that do you know what it means getting married for 70 years to one person, one man, one woman? Do you know how incredibly powerful and supernatural that is? And then you find people 2 days, 2 years, they're already looking for a different partner. And I'm going to show you why divorce and why remarrying, looking for another person while you are married. I am going to tell you why the thing doesn't work and why the thing is such a demonic attack on marriage all over the world. So that's why I'm doing this 1,000 days. We'll be talking about financial freedom. We'll be talking about business, scaling your business. So if you're a small business owner, how do you take your business from a small business owner to a global business? Don't miss any of them. That's what we're going to be talking about. And then number 3, I want to bring back family values. Family used to be the center of everything. In the 40s, in the 50s, everything was family. All decisions, people made decisions around family. But today you find a couple, they have 4 children, and one of them decides, oh, I want to immigrate, I want to travel abroad. And then the man will drop wife and 4 children because of economic reasons. And then travel abroad, go and stay somewhere in Spain. 11 years, 12 years, 15 years. How in the world? Your children were 2 years old, 6 months and all that when you left for Spain or for Holland. And then you stayed there. I even know a case where the man went to prison while he was there. The children all grew up without him. Why? Because the family is not mainstream. We're going to change that. Type in the comment section, Change that. Change that. Everybody, type that. And then if you are still joining, if you are just joining, please share this thing. Share it right now. On YouTube, do the same thing. Share it. Let's make this conversation mainstream. Let's bring back our family. Life was better. It was richer. It was much more happier when the family was the center. When man will go to work and come back, and then he will eat with his wife and children on the table, cracking jokes, laughing, bonding. But today is not like that. Today there are husband and wife who've never eaten, sitting down on the same table for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And there are some, one is living in Accra, the other one is living in London because of economic reasons. We threw family away and we are not happier about it. Okay? So we must change that. Okay. So there are 3 things I want to deliver to us tonight. 3 things we're going to focus on tonight. Number 1 is that divorce is not an option. Please type it in the chat. I don't know the stage of where you are in your marriage right now, or your friend or your neighbor, somebody who is close to you. Type it in the chat. I want you to feel it as you type it and as you say it out wherever you are. And then if you're watching this together with your spouse, say it to one another. In fact, we had to do that, my wife and myself, because we banned that D word when we got married. We banned it. And then we used to tell one another that we locked the key after our marriage, that we locked the padlock and then threw the key into the bottom of the ocean, meaning divorce is impossible. Because if she wakes up tomorrow and says she doesn't like me again, which she cannot do because I'm a fine man, and if she wakes up tomorrow and says she doesn't like me again, then she has to go to the bottom of the ocean and bring back that key and then unlock the padlock again. So write divorce is not an option. Type it, and I want you to type it a minute. If you're going to get married, if you're dating right now, talk with the man or the woman you're dating and tell them divorce is not, that we ban that word in our relationship. Okay? Ban the D word. Type that in the comment section. Ban the D word. Now, the only exception I'm making is if there is a real threat to your life, please run. Don't stay. Don't start quoting some religious figure or something or whatever. Run. Don't stay. Okay? If there is a history of domestic violence and it's getting to a point that your life is at danger, please don't stay. Don't say Ogbo told you to stay. That's the only option that you need to leave. Okay? You need to leave that marriage. Because I remember a woman telling a story, telling me a couple of years ago, she woke up one day, there was a history of domestic violence in her marriage. And she told me that one day she woke up and found that the man had a knife under the pillow. Of course, she ran for her life. This was in Port Harcourt. So divorce is not an option, except if there is threat to life. Then you need to seek help. And then, second thing I'm going to teach you are the 3 root causes of problems in every marriage. This was taught me and taught my wife when we were courting by one of our mentors then. Because another thing I'm going to continue to emphasize, if you're about to get married or you're already married, please make sure you have mentor in your marriage, in your home. Make sure you have a very wise woman, if you're a wife, whom you can actually talk to. Make sure you have a very elderly, wise man who has a good marriage that you can talk to. Because that thing helped me. As I reflect on my 29 years of marriage, there were people who were very, very helpful. Uncle Ocholi. Anytime I encountered as a young married man something that I didn't understand about the woman, I went to him, and by the time I finished, the man would just calm me down. It's incredible. So I think many marriages are running into trouble because they don't have people speaking into their lives. People who have been married for a long time and then who can tell you, guy, relax. This thing your wife is doing is normal. This is how you will take care of it. It's such a blessing having Ocholi and people like that in my life that I run to every time. So these three root causes were taught us by one of these mentors. His name is Odobong Idemeton. I can't forget him. So this was in the 90s. He taught us the three root causes of problems in every marriage. And it so helped us because it prepared us. As that thing was coming, we knew, this is a root cause. We have to deal with it. And then I will share with you 3 simple steps to solving your marriage, because many times the solution is not complicated. It's not as complicated as people make it to be. All right. So let's talk about the 3. I call them the 3 marriage monkeys. These are the 3 things that create that the root of all problems in marriage, whether it's America or Philippines. Some of you are watching from the Philippines, or whether it is from Gambia, or whether it is from United Arab Emirates or Nigeria or Senegal or Ghana. It is the same problem in every marriage. Whether it's a religious marriage, Islamic, Christian, whatever, it is the same problem, traditional. Number 1, sex-related disagreements, okay? And it can come in many ways. The man wants it, the woman says she's having headache, and then the bitterness, the resentment starts, starts coming. It creates problem, and then sometimes, people who can't hold themselves, it creates the unfaithfulness in marriage. Sometimes the woman wants it, and the man says he's not ready. It creates problems and strain, very serious one. So that's number 1. Many problems and divorces actually start from the bedroom, okay? It starts from the bedroom. And there are rough weathers in the bedroom, So, and then again, for people who have been promiscuous, which is why it's very, very wrong to do sex before marriage. Like I said in an earlier session, it creates lots of problems in the marriage, because you now start comparing the man with your previous experiences, or the man starts comparing the woman with his previous experiences. But no 2 men are the same, and no 2 women are the same. No 2 women will respond in exactly the same way. That's why you're given 1 woman, and that's why you're given 1 man to stick to. Sex creates problems in marriage, and then many times the woman watches all these movies and sees all these very, very romantic scenes and romantic men on the screen, and they now start having expectations that their husband will be like the man that they saw on Telemundo or they saw in one Hollywood movie. It starts creating horrible expectations, and before you know it, she's not satisfied in the sexuality in their marriage, and she starts looking for the experience like the one she's watching on TV. Be very, very careful. This is a major, major challenge. Now, the other problem, the other marriage monkey is finances, money disagreement. So you see that the disagreement is from sex, or it is by money. People have different, the man wants to spend money a certain way, the woman wants to spend a different way. Okay, the woman wants to save money, but the man wants to spend it, and then that can create a lot of problems. The man has money, he's hiding it. Or like in one case, a man that has I learned this love child thing from him. He has a child, elsewhere that he's caring for and all that. And then the woman discovers money keeps missing, keeps going somewhere she doesn't know. So there are all kinds of things, differences in the way we spend money, differences in our world views about money. And these are the things to discuss while you are courting. Another major source of problems in marriage, where problems escalate and then sometimes escalate into the divorce we're talking about, is when third parties come in. There's a reason that the priest normally says, whatever God has joined together, let no man separate. So some people still have their mothers meddling in their marriages. So you're a man, you're married to a woman, but it's your mother still comes and tells your wife what to cook, tells your wife, my son likes this, or my son likes this. What's your business? What's the business of your mother in your marriage? And then, or you're a woman, Every simple thing, you start gossiping with your siblings or your girlfriends about your husband, and you're telling your mother everything, and your mother is the one advising you how to treat your the horrible things. Sometimes it is friends. You know, I was in a men's study somewhere a couple of years ago, and then it came to a point, we were discussing something around infidelity. And one man, who was a retired army general, he said something, he made a comment. He said, well, everybody does it, it's just that madam should not know. And I looked around at the men in the room, and nobody said anything. I said, really? Everybody? So I now said, they were very accomplished individuals. And I said, excuse me, sir, no, every man does not do it. I don't do it. I did not have sex before marriage. I didn't know any woman before I got married. And then since I got married, I have not done it with another woman, never, anywhere. And I've been saying it publicly, everywhere. And I travel a lot, United States, Europe, African countries. I travel a lot alone. I said, no, every man doesn't do it. So when you find yourself, with friends like that, who will advise you, who tell you something like, guy, there's this girl, or there's this place we normally go. Oh boy, you need to come and see the girls who come there. And then you now say, no, but I'm married. And you have friends who tell you, wait now, we ourselves, are we not married? It doesn't matter. Everybody does it. You will find yourself in trouble. So be very careful about these three things. And then if you are married, and then you are if you're married and then you are here, type confirmed. Okay? Type confirmed if all the agreements or challenges or disagreements you've had with your wife or with your husband is any of these things I've listed here. Type confirmed in the chat. Type confirmed. Type confirmed. If the argument came either through sex or finances or through third-party family members or friends, type confirmed in the comment section. And those of you watching on YouTube, please do the same thing. Okay. Now, I think I love this quote by Howard Hendricks. He's a spiritual leader. He said, all marriages have strengths and weaknesses. He said, all. My own. And that's why it's important to actually know the strengths and the weaknesses of your marriage. You need to do SWOT analysis for your marriage. Somebody type SWOT analysis. So, and I can see in the comment section, confirmed. Yeah, confirmed. Every disagreement in marriage comes from one of those three sources. So you need to beware when those things begin to come. So now you have been vaccinated, pre-vaccinated against those three things, so that when they are coming, you are wiser. You've been forewarned that this is a potentially troubling situation, and then you can respond in a very wise way. Yes, write SWOT analysis for marriage. SWOT analysis for marriage. You want to do SWOT analysis for your marriage, just like I did SWOT analysis, and I do it regularly for myself, because you need to know what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses of your marriage. Okay? And then it says that marriages are either dynamic or they are deteriorating. At any point in time, your marriage is dynamic, is growing, is learning and adjusting, is going through the rough weather and building, or it is deteriorating. Okay? All marriages, not some. The husband-wife combo must either progress or perish. So you have to understand that marriage is progress or perish. It does not progress itself. It is both of you that will decide whether we want to perish or progress. It is important. Type perish or progress in the comment section. Interact with this. You see, the reason I'm telling you to do this, because it's not a seminar, it is a coaching section. So I want you to interact with these things. So as you hear them, please type it. So you either perish or progress. And then as you sit with your wife or your husband tonight after listening to it, you need to sit down and ask yourselves, are we perishing or are we progressing? And then if you are vulnerable enough to put it in the comment section, you can tell me whether your marriage is progressing at the stage it is right now or is perishing. Type it there, because I'm going to tell you what to do. But bear in mind that marriages do have strengths and weaknesses. This is why it is also very unwise to compare your marriage with another marriage. Stop comparing your marriage with another marriage. Your husband can never be that other man. Your wife can never be that other woman. I am telling you, they have their strengths and their weaknesses. If you people exchange, you will perish, because he is a good husband, but it's not yours. She is a good wife to that man, but to you, you will crush. So she looks good because she's not your own. Oh, if only my wife will be as submissive, as quiet as that man's wife. Who told you? It doesn't work that way. So you have to study your own marriage, okay? And then you either perish or you progress. Okay, now, why fight for your marriage? Why am I selling the good product of marriage, the product of good marriage tonight? Why should you fight for it? The first reason, ladies and gentlemen, married couples, single people planning to get married, there's not a better one out there. You'll be here looking at another person's marriage. If only my marriage is like that. Who told you? Do you know what they are going through? Do you know how they? And then if if their marriage is going on well, do you know what they have gone through to get it to that point? So you don't want to put in the work, but you want your marriage to be like them. So yes, we can model good marriages, but we must never compare our marriages with other, and then thinking that somebody else's marriage is better. There have been a lot of eye-opening experiences I've had. In fact, I went to speak somewhere. It was a nursing school. So they invited me to speak to them for, I believe it was 3 days, 2-3 days. So I flew down there. So on the final day, we talked about, I think I shared something around the will for them, and then relationship and things like that. We weren't even talking about marriage or relationship. I think I just shared something around personal growth. And then it was time for question. And then I invited questions. And I said, please write your questions, and the ushers will collect them and then give to me. I will read them and then answer them. So they brought these questions. And then the very first question I saw really cracked me up, you know. So this lady said, and she didn't hide herself. She said it was from her. She said it was from her. And she needed the microphone to even explain her. But her question was, sir, how can I find a husband exactly like you? I came back, I told my wife, you see, there are a lot of interested parties. She laughed. And then the question is, does she know what my wife went through to make me the husband that I am today? So she just wants to jump from that place and then have a fine husband like me, who speaks well, who is wealthy, who is faithful, and all that. You just have this ready-made husband. It does not work like that. So when you are in your marriage, don't start thinking that, oh, that woman is better. This secretary, that other person I see in finance department, that lady, she's better than my wife. I like the way she behaves, the way she talks. But my wife is so rough. She talks like a man. But that one, she's so quiet. If I marry her, is the illusion of a better spouse. And then some of you women, you'll be dreaming about the man you're seeing on the movie, the Nollywood movie. And then you see him, or maybe they come to hold, or the musician, the video, all those people, they come there in your heart. If only I can marry this man. And then the more you meditate on that in your heart, you're so taken up. Before you know it, you are committing emotional adultery. And you're staying with your husband, but your heart is actually with one person that you see, a celebrity see on the movie. Be careful. If you break this one and you think if you enter another one, it will be better. Your eyes will clear, like we say in Nigeria. So type in the chat, there is no better one out there. There's no better spouse than the one you got. You will still do the work. Later, I will tell you the story about when I had a study with a group of American men. I was in the United States, and then they invited me to a study where there were men. In fact, let me just tell you the story here. And then, believe it or not, I was the only one there who's been married once. The man we were meeting in his house was very, very rich, multi-millionaire. It was a massive place. But as we were meeting there, and he was in his fourth marriage number 4. For some of you watching from America, you know it's crazy over there. Marriage number 4. And then as we were there meeting, we were hearing boom, boom, boom upstairs. You know the way they build their houses in America, wood and all that. So we're just hearing this boom, boom, like somebody stamping or putting things together and all that. The man shook his head and told us that he's not even sure that. So they were fighting fourth marriage, and then the man told us that he wasn't even sure that she would sleep in that house tonight, at that night. And at that time, it was already around 9 p.m. and she was packing to get out of the house. Fourth marriage. Some other person there had been in his second marriage, another person in their third marriage, and then the other person second marriage. All the men in America, the whole thing is messed up. Marriage is so messed up in some of those societies. Now, but here is why I'm telling you that story. Never forget this as long as you live. Don't forget what I'm going to tell you as long as you live, because this thing happened in the early 2000s. This must have been around 2004. But 2003, 2004, I've never forgotten it. 20 years later, I've never forgotten that thing. And I think it helped me in my marriage. So one of the men said that when you get married the first time, that is like putting a plaster, you know, like this plasticine that you put over a wound, okay, in your first aid box. It's like putting a plaster on your skin. Okay. So while it is there, it is firm, it is holding. Then he said that divorce is like removing that plaster. And then remarriage is putting back that same plaster. So he said, when you put it back the second time, it does not stick as it did the first time. Is somebody getting like, just put the fire emoji in if this is making sense to, because this thing, I was mind blown. And I always kept that image in my mind. So he said, when you now remove it again the second time, and then you marry a third time, and then you put that same plaster, it becomes even weaker. And the more you collect the women or collect the men as husbands, the weaker it becomes. So I call this the illusion of a better spouse. That's what I call it. And please type it in the comment section. The illusion of a better spouse. You think that some other man in the neighborhood is better than your husband. And this is where the root of resentment, of emotional infidelity begins to germinate. And before you know it, the thing blows into whatever. Somebody you are married to, you told your love, all of a sudden you find you're cold toward him, or you are cold toward her. You are sleeping facing this side of the wall, facing east, and she's sleeping facing the west. Why? Because somebody else, you think somebody else is better than your husband. All of a sudden, this man snores. I didn't know he snores. That other man, he won't snore. All of a sudden, this woman she's now fat. When I married her, she was not like this. But look at this girl in the office, this lady in the office, slim, she maintains herself, she goes to gym. Who told you that when you marry her that she won't also go fat? Number 2, why you should fight for your marriage is that overcoming challenges together bonds all of you. What my wife and I went through together. So when I talk about the way I love my wife, I say it publicly, people have no idea. They have no idea. Do you know what we went through? I quit my job in December. We got married December 2nd, 1995. I quit my job like a week or 2 after that. No job. I entered school in January. No job. And she had just finished her youth service or something, So she herself was not working. And then in the midst of it, I couldn't pay rent at that time. And then we now moved to a different place. From there, we were attacked by armed robbers. All kinds of things went on. She took in with our first child, no job. I had no job. I was in school. And she took in. We couldn't even afford antenatal or anything. It was much later in her pregnancy that one amazing military officer gave us access to the military hospital in Yaba, and then she was going there. I couldn't afford all those things, and this woman stuck with me. Do you know what we went through together? Sometimes, we have food. In those early days, we may have rice to cook, but nothing to add to the rice except pepper. Nothing except pepper and salt. Do you know what that woman went through with me? And we went through that, and then things were so hard for me. I would trek. 2 times I trekked from the university where I was doing my postgraduate study. 2 times I trekked. Some of you, if you know Ibadan, and you know where University of Ibadan is, and you know where Ojuri Akobo was, because I didn't have 3 naira in those days to join bus. I trekked all the way to that place. By the time I arrived, it was 12 midnight. And she was staying alone, in that place. And, we had a young woman who was, helping at the time. So you know what we went through? So today you see us bonded. You see the way I'm all over her. I feel like literally eating her. It's because of what we went through. Do you think that if at the time things were hard, that she decided she was going to leave me and find one Odogu, like a lot of foolish girls are doing today? Just because things are hard for the man, you leave. Do you think we would have been bonding this way? We've gone through things. The day we will tell our story in public, we've gone through things. So when you see us, we've gone through things. So overcoming challenges together. Don't just because you have challenges say, okay, you are going to divorce. And then, Egwatu, you are here, you can tell us, this phrase, I so hate it. They say irreconcilable differences. What do you mean by irreconcilable differences? Where were irreconcilable differences when you people were courting and were all over the whole place, together? My love of my life. Without you, I will die. Where were irreconcilable differences? Then when rough weather comes, irreconcilable differences run away, and then irreconcilable remains. Stop that nonsense. Anyway, so don't just quit your marriage because you are going through rough weather. Overcome it together. And then when you do that, it boosts your self-efficacy, because what it does is, it's like my wife and I, so we've had challenges. After I left Shell, we also had challenges because I lost money, $100,000 of them, to Nospetco and Wells Zone. They scammed me of that. And then it launched us into serious financial challenges. But because we had gone through it the first time, this second time, we had self-efficacy and confidence to face it. And we crushed it. We crushed those obstacles. But can you imagine if I went through that thing alone, without a woman like that, or if she was going through it alone without a man, a leader in the house? So cherishing your shared history, building your lifelong future. So if you're married now, and maybe your marriage is like 10 years or under 10 years, and you are having a lot of struggle, don't quit. Going to marry another man is not going to solve it. And for many of you women, I'm telling you, even after divorce, it's difficult to find a man who truly, if you're a widow, it's easier. But the truth is, men just want to use you. The man might marry again, but even that marriage is not going to be better than sticking with the woman and solving it, except if there's threat to life. Okay? So that's why you should fight for your marriage. Now, remember we said at the beginning that you should banish the D word. Okay? And then what I want you to do in your marriage, if you're married here, do the same thing that my wife and I did. We mentally padlocked our marriage, and then we threw the key into the ocean, the bottom of the ocean, Atlantic Ocean. She can't find that key, and I can't find it. So you need to do that. And then there are some people who also use another metaphor. The woman brings salt, the man brings salt. Okay, like a jar of salt. and then they mix all of them together. I love that metaphor. They mix that salt. So anytime he decides, oh, I'm not going to marry again, I don't want to stay with you again, then you give her that jar of salt and say, okay, separate it. Bring out your own salt and bring my own. Are you getting this? Are you getting value in this? Type in the comment section. Please interact with me on this. Let me know. Is this making sense? Type make sense in the chat. And then please, if you have not shared this yet, I want to make this mainstream. Okay? I'm not charging you for this. The least you can do is share it widely. Please share it if you haven't done it. And those of you on YouTube, please share it as well. And then when you have done that, type shared in the comment section. Let me know that you have shared it. We need to make this a mainstream to correct the notions, to correct the things that are hurting marriages out there. Okay? So divorce is never the best option because there's no perfect spouse. Every marriage will pass through the rough weather. Okay? Again, the children will suffer. Many times children are the victim of the foolishness of the man and the woman. Imagine your father and mother dragging in court, like Egwatu told us, fighting each other, abusing each other in your presence. The children suffer. It's usually selfish of the parents. And I think I commend our aged parents, in the village. I've heard many women, many men say, we stayed together because of the children, even though it was terrible. But that was, for me, I think that is a very selfless thing to do. Because the scar you leave on the children, watching you go through all the separation and divorce, is terrible. And a child was meant to be planted in a nurturing home, nurtured with love, nurtured with affection. And then the child is thrown into your home to see all this bitterness, all the fighting, all the wrangling, all the fighting over who gets the house, who gets the investment, who gets this and that. Horrible, who gets the car. This is terrible. And then why it is also very, very dangerous and very, very bad is that a child from a divorced home is most likely to replicate it in his own or her own house. That's the dangerous. That's something that people are not even talking about. Because if you look in the society, you find people who are coming from fourth generation divorcees. Their mother was divorced. Their grandmother or grandfather was divorced. Their great-grandmother was divorced. This is fourth generation, and she's facing divorce on only 3 years of marriage. You see, I've seen something on this, my 50-something plus years of life. So because a child, who comes from such a traumatized by divorce. So you have a chance to stop it from becoming a generational thing in your family. And please do not underestimate the emotional scars that this thing leaves, that divorce leaves on you. And the scariest thing is that for somebody, after going through that, to die with bitterness in your heart, to die never forgiving the man, never forgiving the woman, that is horrible for your soul. Because one of the most frightening scriptures is the one that Jesus said, if you do not forgive men their trespasses against you, he said, neither will my heavenly Father forgive you. Can you imagine what it means that you die without forgiving? That you go to the grave with bitterness and unforgiveness? That is a horrible eternity. So don't do it except there's a threat to your life. Don't do it. Okay. Why? A successful marriage requires falling in love many times. The one you fell in love before your wedding day is not enough. It's not enough. If you're married here, you can type in the chat and say confirmed. This I love you, the one I love you before you're married is not enough. And I was speaking with a man a couple of months ago. This man, they've been married for like almost 2 decades. And he's never opened his mouth one day to look the wife in the face and say, I love you. And then he will say, well, she knows. Do I have to say it? No! The one you fell in love, the love you fell in before you got married is not enough. You will still have to, many times it's like every day, she has to hear it, and the man also has to hear that he's respected, that he's the prince, he's the king. So it requires falling in love many times. All right, so finally, let's deal with the third part of our agenda. And I want to simplify it. 3 steps to saving your marriage. 3 steps to saving it right now. And then there's another episode. The episode we did, I don't remember which day, but that episode had to do with, the slippery emotional distancing, emotional distancing in marriage. I would advise you please to go back and watch that. The best place to actually see all of them is on YouTube. So just go type my full name on YouTube. There's only one person with that name, Ogbo, Awoke Ogbo. Subscribe to that channel. Then look for the playlist called 1000 Days. I think that's what it's called. So there's this episode on emotional distancing in marriage. Watch it. Call your wife. Call your husband. Watch it. Because even watching that thing together and listening together can save your marriage. Even watching, just getting yourself to do something together can save your marriage. So go back, watch the emotional distancing in marriage on YouTube. Okay? Now, the number one ingredient to save your bad marriage, number one ingredient is even the willingness to do it, to save, to continue. Remember I told you, you either progress or perish. So the willingness to progress has to be greater than the inertia of perishing. Because if you do nothing, it will perish. If the desire is not there, it won't happen. I just handled a case recently. The woman wants to make progress, but the man is like, he made up his mind. He doesn't want it. And so it's difficult to save a marriage where the people are not willing to save it. So if you're not even willing to save it, after all I have told you about the D word, banishing the D word, and why you should fight for your marriage, there's even no point progressing further. But the moment that the willingness to save your marriage is established, every other thing, it's the willingness to save it, let me say, it's like 90%. Once the willingness and the desire to save your marriage is there, you already done 90%. The all other things are just like 10%. Okay? The second thing is then restore communication. Because communication is the energy. Is that the best way to put it? It's actually much deeper than that. The communication is the energy, is the fuel in your marriage. The moment communication breaks down, there's no hope for that marriage. And the reason your marriage is suffering right now is because communication, if there's one reason, is because communication is broken. So you restore communication. So how do you restore communication? Many ways. But like I said, goodness gracious me, when the desire is there, the restoring of the communication. So you need to sit with your spouse. Watch this video together. It's going to be up on YouTube tomorrow before noon. It's going to be up on YouTube. Watch it together. Then sometimes doing it in a group actually helps. Watch it together. Discuss it. Even just watching this together and discussing and hearing all the things I've talked about. Your husband is hearing that your marriage was like salt mixed together. And then if anybody wants to go, any of you wants to go, you have to go and separate the salt. Or he hears my own story, or she hears my own story about locking your marriage like a padlock and then throwing the keys into the Atlantic Ocean. Is powerful. So once the will is there, then the next thing is to work on your communication. So find a place. Start, there are a lot of conversation starters that you can use for a strained relationship where communication has broken down. Again, watch the emotional distancing in marriage, and then take a leave. Both of you find somewhere. Just initiate that conversation somehow or the other. Many times it's very difficult, for the woman to initiate. And then if you are the man in the party here, it's easy, actually, initiate it. But then if your husband is not even initiating it, you can initiate it. You need to break that silent treatment. The silent treatment kills. And that silent treatment is particularly bad for women. Women are not designed, they are not built to withstand silent treatment. So that silent treatment, you don't talk to her, you ignore her, you don't thank her, you don't greet her, you don't hug her, you just go and it's horrible. It's horrible. Break it. So find some time together. One of the things you can do is buy a surprise gift for her, a gift that's so valuable that she's not even expecting. Things like that can actually open up the avenue for communication. Something that she really values a lot, or something that he really values. Okay, so you can imagine you are coming back from work, you deliberately enter like a really good, your husband loves shoes, and maybe one of his favorite shoes, you discover it's it has a problem somewhere and all that, and then you did as if you didn't notice, because he's giving you silent treatment, people are not talking, and then you coming back, and then you pass through a really beautiful shoe store, and you buy him a very, very, even against you, you're not feeling like it. That's the secret. This thing starts like it's mechanical. You don't feel like it, but you do it anyhow. And then it's after doing it that you actually get the feeling. You see, I was trained in cognitive behavioral therapy, and the fulcrum of CBT is that there's a loop between thoughts, feelings, and then action. So when you think a thought, it generates a feeling in your body, and then that feeling makes you to act. So you can start from any of the loop. If you don't have the feeling of love or something toward him or toward her, you can start the loop from the thought. The thought, you think about all the things you're thankful for this man, all the things you're thankful for him, all the things you're thankful for this woman. She's the mother. She gave you 3 beautiful children, and you're thankful for that. Then it starts generating that warm feeling toward her, and then from there, action. Or you can start from action. You don't feel like it, but you go out there, you buy her a really, really beautiful dress, because you overheard her telling her friend, oh, she has this beautiful heart, she has this beautiful blouse, but she doesn't have a skirt. You overheard it, but because people are not talking, you decide, okay, even though you're not feeling like it, you pass through the supermarket and you buy her a very, very excellent, her stature and all that she can't say no to. Gifts can open conversations. Then when it comes back, when you come back, you give it to her. Say you've taken action. That action begins to shift her feelings. It also begins to shift your feelings. And then it now begins to look back to your having the correct thought toward one another. Another thing I find very helpful for conversation is to use humor. So men, if you want to get a girl, learn to be humorous. Because the thing is that if you take women too serious, you will spoil things. They are not as serious as you think. So a sense of humor helps. It can break things down. So have this time with yourself to have a conversation. What's something you've always wanted to do together, but we haven't? Okay. What do you miss most about the way we used to connect, when we used to talk? What do you miss most? What is one thing I could do to make you feel more loved right now? When you do this, you can start taking your marriage from the perish spectrum to the progress spectrum. So that's the last thing I would like you to type in the comment section. From perish to progress. And then what you have in between is communication. So perish to progress. Communication bridges perish to progress. And so this is where we will round it up for today. Please make sure you share this. And we are doing this. This is day 24. We still have over 970 days left with you. So ask your questions in the comment section. I do read them, and get back to me, DM me, use comment section, and then let me know that this is very useful to you, and then how this is helping you. And then if you have questions, please put it there. And then I will see you at exactly the same time tomorrow. Set your alarm, put it in your calendar to remind you every time. I am always here. And then if I can do it to cook this and prepare this for you, the least you can do is to remind yourself to be very, very present here every 8 p.m. And then in any day that the time will change because of conflict with other programs, I will let you know, but we will not miss it one day for the next one, for 1,000 days. So thank you for being here, and then I wish you a good night. Whatever happens, keep showing up, because you have no idea what's coming your way next. I love you, and I'll see you same time tomorrow.